I would say that parenting is not an event. Sometimes people say spend quality time or quantity time. Parenting is a process, and you always have to be there. You have to make time, and you also have to be there all the time, because sometimes our children need somebody to talk to, they need somebody to encourage them, they're having a challenging time. You need to be there. Remember, we are stewards. God made us stewards. And I always say we are bringing up somebody's wife, we are bringing up somebody's husband, we are also bringing us a responsible adult for the nation. So you are bringing up a CEO, you are bringing up a politician, an organizational head. Have all that in mind, and together with your husband, bring the children up so that one day somebody will bless you as having done a very good job. And one day God will tell you, good and faithful servant, you took very good care of my property, what I entrusted in your hands. Bear that in mind so that nobody will curse you one day and say that, look at this job you did, it's not good at all. And pray. You need to pray. Like everything depends on prayer. Rise up at dawn, mommy, and pray for your children. I wake up 2 a.m. I am always laying hands on my children and speaking forth what I want to see happen to them. I do that every time. Sometimes they see, sometimes they don't see. If your husband is not doing it, it's okay, mother, do it. And one day, you will thank God for what you did. God bless us all. Amen.
Welcome to my parenting journey on Radiant Parenting. My name is Gifty. Today we are coming your way with a wonderful edition of our program dubbed My Parenting Journey. Parenting is a journey, do you believe that? And how has the journey been for you so far? Is it a good one, a wonderful one? And one thing about a journey is that you can learn as you go on the way. And today that's what it's all about. We are here to learn from a mother, a lover of God, a lover of children. Who is this wonderful woman? Wonderful and beautiful woman. I knew her some years back in my days at the University of Ghana. I took a lot of inspiration from her, and it's such a great privilege to have her today on our show. Today we are going to have a wonderful conversation with Dr. Mrs. Abigail Che. She's the wife of Apostle Professor Peter Ohene-Che, the former rector of Pentecost University. Mrs. Abigail Che is a midwife and a nurse by profession. She has been in the health sector for over 40 years. Yes, that's how long she has been in this field. And her impact has been felt locally and internationally. She has worked across over 5 continents in this world. Can you imagine over her lifetime? She has qualifications in nursing and midwifery. And today we want to hear from her how her journey has been so far. She has been married to Apostle Professor Peter Ohene-Che for 40 years. Last year, December, they celebrated their 40th anniversary in marriage. Wonderful. I guess you join me to clap for her as we welcome her on this show, My Parenting Journey. Auntie Abigail, you are welcome to Radiant Parenting.
Thank you very much.
I know you have a very busy schedule, but because you love this program, you made time within a very short notice to come and engage with us. We appreciate your sacrifices. So please tell us about yourself.
I'm a born-again Christian who wants to influence my world and leave it a better place than I came to meet it. I was born and bred in Kumasi by my parents, Opening Kwesidam and Madam Dora Brickram, both of blessed memory. I'm the third born of 3 ladies.
Okay.
And I've been married, as you have said, for the past 40 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a long journey, but God has been with us and His grace continues to lead us. Professionally, I'm a nurse and I'm a midwife, and currently I'm practicing as a public health consultant. I attended school in Kumasi, Methodist Primary, and then I went on to Mofretro Girls Boarding School. From there, I gained admission to Wesley Girls High School.
Good.
And then went on to University of Ghana, where I read nursing.
Okay.
I'm one of the pioneers of the degree program in nursing. We started in 1980.
Okay.
And after that, I went on to do my master's in public health in the US. I came back to Ghana to serve my country. And then I joined the development agencies and started working in administrative position. From there, I worked in several countries, and I've gone to places like Afghanistan, where I went to open an office for a program on mothers and children.
Okay.
I spent some time too in Nigeria, in Kenya, but I was also a country director for one of my projects in Malawi.
Okay.
That was my last station in development work.
Okay.
Then my husband was called into full-time ministry, so I came back to Ghana.
Wonderful.
And started working with the International Confederation of Midwives.
Okay.
Because of my love for my profession in nursing, I have always wanted to be in the training of nurses.
Okay. And
helping to mentor nurses come up to a level that will be helpful for all of us. So in 2013, I thought I had finished with the project work and was ready to be on my own. And then they started nursing at Pentecost University,
okay.
which is in the university of my church.
Yes.
And so I was called to come and support. I initially started on part-time basis, and then my love for education made me go into full-time. So I stayed on there and became the head of department. I earned my doctorate whilst I was still at Pentecost University, from University of Phoenix in the US. Okay. And then after that, I stayed on, worked for 9 years with Pentecost University.
Wow.
And in November last year, I exited, and now I'm working on my own.
Wow.
We are blessed with 5 adult children, 4 ladies, all married, and 1 gentleman who is still in school.
Okay.
And we have 6 grandchildren and still counting.
Wow. That's beautiful. Glory to God. Your life is beautiful. So, your upbringing, how was it when you were a child? Your upbringing? You said you were 3 girls. And how was your upbringing like?
My upbringing is another story, in the sense that my mother married into a polygamous marriage.
Okay.
At that time, when she got married to my father, she was not a Christian. So when she became a Christian and she understood the ethics of Christianity and the values in Christianity, she decided that it was not right for her to stay in a polygamous marriage, because she was not the first wife, she was one of the wives. So when I was 2 years, according to my father, my mother brought all the dowry back and said she was going back into her Christian life and she wanted to be committed to her calling. So from 2 years, my mother left the marriage and never married again. So I was brought up single-handedly by my mother. But the beauty of it was that there was no animosity between my father and my mother.
Okay.
So I didn't experience the broken home syndrome. My mother and my father were on talking terms. I could be allowed to go to my father's house at any time. And my father too was such that he wanted all his children to be together.
Okay.
So my father's children, we are still together. We are very well bonded together.
Please, how many are they? Your
At
siblings?
the time my father died, we thought we were a certain number, but when he died, we found out that we were more than that. more than
the number you knew.
Yeah, more than 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, but my mother had a very good relationship with all my father's children. So when my mother died, all my father's children who were around came to the funeral.
Wow.
So we still have that very good bond together. So my upbringing was mainly in my mother's house. And being the committed Christian that she was, she brought me up in the Lord. I went to Sunday school in the Church of Pentecost. I grew up in the then fellowship, what do you call it? What we used to call it Mrantiku,
Okay.
the witness movement.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up in. And then in the women's movement, my mother was such that if you don't go to church, where else will you go?
You won't go anywhere.
And she didn't encourage too much fellowship outside the church. So I was at home most of the time. I learned from her. And she had her own private practice as a midwife.
Okay.
So anytime I came from school, she was at home. So that was something that I really enjoyed having, because she was always at home with us. And it was not difficult for me to have some communication with her. Mm-hmm.
She was always available.
She was always available.
Unlike parents of today.
Yes, and even unlike me. So it was something that I really enjoyed, and it was something that I was aspiring to be, that I would do a job that would always make me be at home, so that whenever my children came from school, they would come and meet me. It didn't happen that way with me, but by God's grace, we have been able to come this far.
Okay, that's fine. So, did the way your mother raised you affect the way you raise your 5 children?
Oh yes, it had a lot of influence on me.
Okay.
Because Mama was such that in our house, there were certain things, there were rules.
Okay.
And she made it very plain to us. So that you know that you cannot, for instance, you cannot insult.
Okay.
How do you open your mouth and insult somebody? She taught me to be hardworking. Her work was such that she needed help in the house, and so we always had house helps. But my mother made sure that I worked in the same way as the house helps were doing. So there was no difference between how she treated me and how she treated the house helps, because we were all supposed to do, we will all wake up very early in the morning and do the household chores. There was no way she would say that they should do something more than me. And I think there was a lot of stress on me too, to do a lot more, because I was her daughter. There was no way my mother would let me do things less because I was her daughter. She made sure that I did the same job or even more than the household. And my father died early, when I was in my early teens. So it was with me and my mother alone. I was very close to my father, closer to my father than to my mother.
Wow.
But when I lost him, I had no one else but my mother. And the age difference between me and my sisters too was such that at any one time, it was like I was an only child. Because my first sister was 13 years older than my second sister, who was 9 years older than me. So at any one time, there was only one of us in the house.
In the house, because the gap was so wide.
Yes, because she would either be in school, away from home, or she would be somewhere else. So I had to learn under my mother's feet. She brought us up with tough love.
Okay.
She was a very strong woman who did not tolerate nonsense. And so hard work became part of us. And I think that was instilled in me, and I brought it up in my children too.
So you learned hard work from your mother?
Yes. And then the fear of God,
Fear of God.
respect of adults.
Okay.
And then another thing my mother didn't like was having too many friends. She said she didn't like it. In our parlance, she would say that "Me perfect bo." So I had to learn to do everything at home. I had to enjoy my own company. She actually held my hand and took me to the public library in Kumasi and told me that this is where you find your friendship. So because of that, she instilled the love for reading in me. So I can get myself into a room with a book, so long as I have water in the room and I have somewhere that I can use privately, I will not have I don't care about food or anything. I can just read and read and read, because Mama instilled that thing in me, and it really came a long way to help me.
You know, just as you came in, you know, I saw a book in your bag.
Yes, I always carry a book.
Purpose-driven life.
Yes.
And I was like, wow. So at this age, upon all her achievement, she still has a book in her bag. Anytime she gets,
yes,
then she will read. So that confirms what you are saying.
Yes, I always carry a book with me wherever I go, because when I'm sitting there doing nothing,
waiting for something,
especially when you go to the bank and you have to sit and wait for hours, I have my book with me. And once I have a book with me, I'm okay.
So when you have some spare time, you prefer to read. How about going on social media, WhatsApp, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook?
This social media business is another challenge. Well, I grew up with print book, so that's what I was used to. But you see, as you are growing, you realize that new things are coming up, and you have to learn to understand those things and then pick up the good things in it. I see a lot of good things in social media, but I do not allow it to control me.
Good.
So, yes, I check my WhatsApp every now and then. I'm on Facebook. Recently, one of my daughters put me on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. And I came on Facebook because I wanted to find out what my children were doing on Facebook.
Okay.
At that time when it came up, I heard so much about it and they were all on it. So I said, okay, let me go and see what is going on there. And I learned so many good things, but I also learned that some of them were abusing it. So sometimes I would even call my children's friends or some of my friends' children and behind the scenes and ask them to withdraw certain postings from the Facebook because it didn't come out right, especially when they were being disrespectful to older people on Facebook and things like that. Well, according to my children, when our generation joined Facebook, they decided to leave it for us, and then they moved on to other
social media handles.
Yes, other handles. I wasn't enthused enough to join them on the other handles, because even the Facebook, I didn't have too much time for it. But at least it has been very educative, and I've learned a lot from it. I don't allow the social media to control my life. I have so many other things doing. So I try to plan my life in such a way that I have times that I go on to my phone.
Okay.
I try to pick every call that I get or return calls that I missed. I look at my WhatsApp at least 3 times in the day.
Okay.
But intermittently, I'm not looking at it every time.
Okay.
When I wake up after I've had my morning devotion, I try to see what is on my WhatsApp, so that if there are issues that I have to address, I look at it. Sometime in the afternoon, especially when I'm not driving and I'm in a car, I attend to my WhatsApp and respond to messages. And then before I go to bed too, I try to handle it. Because I have realized that if we don't take care, it controls our lives.
Yes.
And it wastes a lot of time. And there are so many other things that we need to do.
Yeah.
I do a lot of work on my computer.
Okay.
It is helpful. I try to get information from it and try to address issues. And because of the assignments, the many assignments that I have, I'm not an early bird. I don't go to bed early. I stay up late in the evening to try to accomplish some of the things that I planned for the day.
Okay.
And so I don't rush to wake up to. So if you are looking for me before 7 o'clock and you call me, I will not. It's not likely I'll pick my phone because I might not even have woken up or something, but I'll be in bed doing something on my own, private for myself. Okay. I believe that it is important that we develop ourselves so that we can be of use to society. And if we are always on the phone, if we are always on the social media, you may miss out on certain things.
Exactly.
And when my children were growing up, I remember one funny incident. You remember sometime along the line, they had free midnight calls.
Yes. Yes.
So I said that was not going to happen in our house. So one evening I decided to collect all their phones. And these children were so naughty. They decided that they would put alarms on their phone at different times of the night. So I took all their phones and brought them to my room. And in our house, we didn't allow any of our children to lock their doors. Because in the middle of the night, sometimes my husband and I will go around praying for the children. And we can walk into your room at any time. We should be allowed to enter. So there I was at 12 midnight, one of the phones,
Alarm went off.
The alarm went off. And I didn't know how to turn that phone's alarm off. I struggled. Finally, I was able to do it. So I was going to bed. Just when I was about to sleep, around 2 a.m., another phone also belled. And then the third one. So I had to wake them all up and ask them to teach me how to turn off their alarms. And then I kept the phone. But it was a big lesson for me because I was trying to stop them from wasting their time in the night on free midnight calls. And I had to pay the price for it.
That's interesting. So, before you gave birth, what were your preparation? How prepared were you? How many children do you intend to have?
It's a very interesting question. I'm a nurse by profession, so when people ask me that question and I answer, everybody goes, "What is wrong with you?" I wanted to have 12 children.
Wow. Why? Such a huge number.
Yes.
More than a football team.
Yes. The reason is because I told you that we were only 3.
Okay.
And because of that, and with the age difference between us, I didn't have too much company.
Okay.
And my mother didn't allow me to go to other people's houses to make friends and have so many friends around me. And I think by nature, I love having company.
Okay.
So I decided that, okay, I should have more children, let my children be friends among themselves, and let me enjoy them, let them enjoy themselves. They will be their own company.
Okay.
But when I got married, life happened. And I realized that 12 was far too many. So I said, okay, let me divide it by 2.
So did your husband agree to this?
The interesting thing is that my husband said he wanted 2 people. He wanted 2 children. So I told him that in my family, we like people. We want many people. So as for me, 12 is my number. He didn't say anything. My husband doesn't talk too much. People think that he talks a lot, but he doesn't talk too much. When he's in the pulpit preaching, it's another thing. but by nature, he's not much of a talkative. So he just looked at me and he didn't mind me. But when I got married and I saw how life was moving, I realized that I had to change the number. So I divided it by 2 and decided on 6.
Okay.
God granted my request, but I had 1 miscarriage.
Oh, wow.
So that is why I have 5 children.
5. So you got a 6.
Yes, I got a 6,
But
but
one-
yes, so I miscarried 1.
Wonderful. So the 5, you have 4 girls
And
a-
1 boy.
and 1 boy.
Yes.
How prepared were you? Did you have any training, anything about parenting? Did you read any book? How prepared were you as a parent?
Okay, I think I learned a lot from my mother. And then one of my cousins was also very instrumental in my upbringing. She was a teacher in Accra, and I used to go for holidays with her sometimes. My mother would say, go to Accra and learn sense. So she would pack my bag for me, and then I'll leave Kumasi and on my own come to Accra and stay with my cousin during the holidays. She was a teacher. She was a cleanliness freak.
Wow.
She's the type that you can sit in her bathroom and eat, and every day cleaning the bathroom and the toilet was like having inspection at Wesley Girls High School. You have to scrub. So we woke up at 4 a.m. We did all the work. You will go to bed. But I mean, you are standing on your feet throughout the day till 8 p.m. when you are going to bed. And when later on, when I grew up and I went to that house, I kept asking myself, what is it in this house that we're doing so much that we're always working around the clock? So she also put a lot of parenting skills in me. And then I told you that I like reading, so I read. Yes, I read about parenting. But there was one woman in the church. She was called Mrs. Mary Adams.
Okay.
She was the Ashanti Regional Women's Leader. She was a nurse, also a nurse by profession. And she used to hold prayer meetings and teachings in her house. She was living very close to us. She was my mother's friend. And she taught us so many things about parenting.
Okay.
She was the one who taught me that you start bringing up your child from the womb.
Yeah.
You don't wait to have the baby before you start bringing up the baby.
Good.
When the moment you get pregnant, you start bringing up the child.
How will you do that?
So
To the unborn child. How do you
Yes.
bring up the unborn child right from the womb?
the prayers you say to God for the child,
Okay.
talking to the child in the womb. You put your hand on your tummy and you say the good things that you want to see in your child.
Wow.
And you imagine what you want that child to be, and you pray to God about that child.
Great.
So you have that communication right from the beginning.
Okay.
So I learned all those things before I started bringing up my children, and by the grace of God, it really helped me to bring them up.
Fantastic. God bless Auntie Mary Adams for giving you those parenting skills. Some of us didn't get it like that. So it means that we need more Mary Adams in our system to coach
Exactly.
the younger generation.
Her legacy goes on.
Exactly. Because I believe parenting, good parenting does not happen in a vacuum.
No.
You have to be intentional about it.
Exactly.
And I like what I've read that. It starts from the womb.
Yes.
Exactly. Cool.
And the relationship between the husband and the wife. When the parents are in a loving relationship, it psychologically affects the child in the womb. And the child is born into a happy home.
Welcome into a happy
Home. And so that is a fertile ground for such a child to grow up in. Such children have confidence. They know that they are loved. No matter what is going on, they know that they have parents who are there to support them. And that also brings them up, helps to bring them up well.
Good. So in a home where there's no antagonism,
No.
what we call in Akan, what team you are coming. So the child knows that I am loved unconditionally.
Exactly. But you see, in marriage, we are two different people coming from two different backgrounds. So definitely there will be some hitches here and there. For instance, I'm a last born. My husband is a firstborn.
Different career.
Very, very, totally different. When we got married, 3 months down the line, my husband's father died. So my mother-in-law and 4 of my husband's siblings had to come and live with us 3 months after our marriage.
Wow.
And they lived with us for 1 year for us to prepare the home for them to go and stay in. It was a big challenge.
A big one.
But when you have decided amongst yourselves that by all means your marriage must work, you work along with it with the help of God, and then it affects the children too.
Okay, that's fantastic. So you have 5 children. Where are they now? A little bit about where they are. Not too much.
Okay.
As comfortable as you'll be, so that we know where they are at the moment.
Okay, by God's grace, all the 4 ladies are gainfully employed. The first one is a lawyer by profession. She has her own chambers.
Wow. In Ghana?
In Ghana.
Good.
The second one, and she's married with 2 children.
Okay.
The second one is also married with 4 children.
Okay.
And she is also gainfully employed in Ghana.
Okay.
She was a communication designer. That was what she worked with.
Mm-hmm.
The third one is a medical doctor.
Okay.
She's married with her husband in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fourth one is a fashion designer. She's also married with her husband in the US.
Okay.
Then the baby.
The last baby?
Yes, he's finished his first degree in Ghana. He did computer engineering. He's now doing cybersecurity in the UK.
Wonderful, wonderful. So all your 5 children are unique. How did you manage their uniqueness? 5.
That's very interesting. One of the things I learned when I was reading about parenting from the Bible is that it's very important that parents do not show favoritism.
Okay.
And I learned this from the story of Isaac and his wife Rebecca, because they decided to choose their favorite. It brought a lot of antagonism between the 2 brothers, although they were twins. Mm-hmm. So I told myself that all my children should get the same amount of love from me. And that is very difficult because, like you are saying, they are very unique.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes one will do something that will pull you closer to him or her. And if you don't take care, you will start having favorites.
Exactly.
So I prayed about it. So to date, when they meet, they keep arguing. I'm mommy's favorite, I'm daddy's favorite. And they don't know who is our favorite, because we didn't, even when we know within us that sometimes this one, we like what she's doing, they don't know that we prefer this person over the other one.
Okay.
So that is one thing that helped us. And I also learned the beauty of families being together. Okay. So one of the things we taught our children was the fact that family, after God, family is the next.
Okay.
So it is, and that by that we meant the nuclear family. It is very important that what is happening to your brother or your sister is important to you. So we didn't encourage sibling rivalry.
Okay.
There were times that they didn't understand themselves and maybe they had issues with each other. But we made sure that we sat them down and explained to them. I remember the first 2 ladies. One day I went to work and I came back. When I came, they had been fighting over something. I don't even remember what it was. So I called both of them. I listened to their story, and I realized that both of them were at fault. So I asked them to go and bring a cane, and I disciplined them. I beat both of them equally.
That's all. And
then I put them in a room and locked them in and said, sort yourselves out, because you are sisters. You don't have anybody but yourselves. They came out smiling, friends. So these are some of the things that we did for them. We made sure that so to date, they are very caring of each other, and they've even brought their children together, and they care for themselves that way.
Wow, that's great, because you have families where siblings are very antagonistic towards one another, and it stems from the fact that sometimes parents show favoritism. This is my favorite. And some children too can be strong-willed, like one of my daughters. She's not moved by anything. When he says she should do this, she'll not do it. So how do you manage such children among the lot and still not show favoritism?
Yes, there is that. You see, everybody is different, and we cannot force our children to be like us. We as a family, we have our values that we try not to compromise, and most of them are biblical values, especially the fruit of the Spirit. So those ones, we do not compromise on them. But as to the likes and dislikes of the children, you have to be careful. It's not, you can't push and force your ideas on them. And the reason is that God, who created us, when he created us, he said, let us make man in our own image. But he gave us our will.
Exactly.
So he allows us to make decisions on our own. So the best thing you can do for them is to guide them in the decision making. So what we normally do with them is that we sit them down and tell them when they bring up issues, and we are very close with our children. We develop that relationship where they can come to us at any time and say anything to us, whatever is bothering them. So when they share their issues with us and we listen to it, we ask them for their opinion about it, and then we tell them what we think, and then we ask them to make a choice. So that is how you handle them. And like you said, some of them are very strong-willed. When they are showing signs of that, we tell them our peace of mind about what we think, and then we leave it to them to take a decision, but we pray. We pray seriously to support the issue and ask God's guidance for them.
Good. So prayer cannot be taken out of the parenting journey.
No.
It's a key ingredient.
Exactly.
That's
because
needed.
you see, God is the first parent anyway. And he is the first parent, and he knows the skills of parenting more than anybody. So he's the one who teaches us how to be good parents. And I personally believe that there is nothing like this is the best parent. No. We are all learning. But so long as we are willing to learn at the feet of God and to learn from our mistakes and improve upon it, we are doing well.
Excellent. You mentioned something about values. Can you tell us some of the values that you instilled in your children? And also, let me add, at what age did you introduce them to Christ? Because I know you are a pastor's wife, but you know that there are some pastors whose children are not Christians. So it's not automatic that once your children, you have children, you are a pastor and you have children, your children will turn out to be Christians. So how did you combine those two?
Okay, I'll take the second question first.
Good.
The one about how, when I introduced them to Christ, I told you that parenting starts from the womb.
Exactly.
So I think I started introducing my children to Christ from the womb when I was pregnant.
Fantastic.
My prayer was to God was that my children would become Christians. They would come to accept Jesus Christ as their personal savior and live for Christ for the rest of their life. My prayer has always been that no descendant of mine will go to hell.
That's it.
None of them.
That's it.
All of them, I'll see all of them, those born and unborn. I'll see all of them in heaven. So that one is a constant prayer, non-negotiable in my life.
Good.
But as they are growing up, children do not understand things till they get to a certain age. So right from the beginning, as they are babies, I pray over them, sing to them about the loving relationship with God and everything. But my children talk early. By 2, they are speaking the local language. And it's a policy in our home too that our children learn the local language before they learn English.
Oh, I wish I knew this earlier.
Because it's very important. Psychology tells us that we think in our local language before we transfer it to any other language. So let's not confuse our children. The environment in which they are, let us speak the local language to them, let them pick it up. When they finish, the Queen's English, they will go and learn and speak better than us in the schools. Exactly. But let them get the fundamentals at home. So when they start speaking.
So in your home, when they start speaking, they start with the tree.
Yes.
Not with mommy, daddy. But they will say mommy and daddy.
No, they say mommy and daddy,
but
all right.
They speak tree.
They speak tree. We speak tree to them. We don't speak English to them.
That's where some of us miss it. I miss it. So
we speak tree with them because we are both tree. I'm Achim, my husband is Ashanti, so we speak tree with them. So so when they start speaking and they understand well enough, I introduce them to age appropriate Christian life.
Okay.
So I believe that I don't remember the exact age for each of them, but by age 5, all of them had been introduced to Christ.
Hallelujah. By age 5. You see, what I see is unique about your style is that you are very intentional about your parenting journey.
Yes.
You started early, right from the womb. Because we have seen that oftentimes parents wait when it's too late. Sometimes we think that children are too young to receive the gospel, for us to share the message with them. So we are waiting for them to grow. By the time we are waiting till the world too is taking over. So if you wait till they get to a certain age, like the teenage, you would have missed out on a wonderful opportunity to introduce them to the gospel.
And another thing is that our culture is such that we don't plan. I've worked the length of breadth of Ghana. I mean, in all the regions. My work has taken me to all the regions. So every tribe, I have worked in almost every tribe. We don't plan. When the most important thing is, when people get to a certain age, everybody is like, hey, well, she should be getting married. Right? So the men are being, why are you sitting there? What are you sitting there doing? Get married. It shows it's a sign of responsibility. With the women too, with the ladies, we say, hey, you are of age. Continue praying for your right partner and everything. The moment they get married, and when people are going to get married, they don't prepare. They don't prepare in the sense that if you ask the average married person, your age, how many books they read about marriage before they got married?
None.
Most of the time it's none, 0. They don't prepare for it. And then the moment they get married, everybody is looking on, hey, when is the woman going to get pregnant? Then when they get pregnant, then the next thing is, hey, then the children are, but you see, in other cultures, the Western cultures, the couple to be will sit down and plan and decide how many children do we want to have. When will we be ready to bring them up? How far in education do we want them to go? So they work on all those things. So they plan. Like you said, they are intentional about it.
Yeah.
And because of that, things work out in that way. There is this very funny story that I always share with couples that I'm counseling with. A couple got married. And as usual, Ghanaian couple, they didn't prepare. They didn't talk about anything. But when the day after, the evening of their marriage, the man told the lady, you see, in this marriage, I'm going to take care of all the big issues, and you will take care of the small issues. The woman was so elated. She didn't ask what the small issues were, what the big issues were. So they got married, and then they started family life. Then it was time for her to start getting food for the home every day. She went to the husband, and she was working and the man was working. She went to the husband. The husband said, but that's a small issue. So this woman was the one who was paying for everything in the house. The man was not contributing anything. Hey. Then she became pregnant. She said, oh, I'm sure this one is a big issue. She went and told the husband. The husband, oh, we thank God. She started going to the clinic. She's going to the clinic. She wants money. She said, oh, now, just pregnancy, small issue. Hey. It went on. She delivered. It was a small issue. The child started going to school. It was a small issue. The child grew up to a certain age. Then the girl realized that the small issues were too many. So she reported the issue to her family. And the two families sat down. So the uncle of the lady asked the gentleman, my niece is saying something that I don't understand. Did you? She said, oh, I agreed that I'll take care of the big issues and she would take care of the small issues. And the man said, so by your standards, what are the big issues? He said, oh, like war between Ukraine and those things that get the headline news in the newspapers. Football between this place and that place. Those are the big issues. That is why I've left all the small issues with her. And that, hilarious though the story is, that is how we look at things. We are not sitting down looking at our responsibilities. Who is doing what? How do we go about this? What do we do? And because of that, it affects our parenting style.
Exactly. So we are not intentional.
No.
And at the end, we do not get the best out of our children. We struggle for nothing. But if we had planned a little with the help of the Holy Spirit, we would have gotten better results.
Exactly.
Good. 4 of your children are married. How involved were you in guiding them in their choices of spouse? And they are all ladies. It's the ladies that are married now. So your in-laws, what did you advise them? What did you tell them? How do you know that this is the right guy and this not?
Prayer is very important in our family. So we didn't choose any of our in-laws.
Okay.
Our children chose their own spouses, and they came and shared with us, and we prayed along with them. We would sit down, and we have certain principles about marriage. Before they got to marriage, we taught them that you list all the things you want to find in your spouse.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, please.
And you start praying for that particular person. We join you to pray, but you are the one going into the marriage, so you should be more serious about the prayer. So you make a list, and in that list, you should look for, you should list things you would not want to see in the person you are going to marry, and things you would love to see, and then the neutral things. And then you start praying about it. And then when you find that person, share it with the person, and let that person also make the list. So right from the beginning, you know that my wife to be, my husband to me, does not like this, hates this, and loves this. And with this, she's neutral about them. When you have that understanding, you are ready to go.
Good.
So that's about the influence we had on our in-laws, and we are on good relationship with all our in-laws. One is even married to a white person, and
you didn't mind?
No.
Okay.
It's her choice.
Okay.
And the gentleman is good. So
that didn't bother you?
It didn't bother us.
The kind of person, the person?
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. Mommy, I can see you are a very accomplished woman. You've achieved a lot in life. How did you manage your family life with your career? Or how did you manage parenting with your career? How did you keep the balance?
That's a big challenge. And I think I'll first want to say a big thank you to God for the kind of upbringing that I had, which also helped me. My husband has been very supportive in the sense that he doesn't mind my going up the ladder in my profession. He has been very, very supportive. I remember when I had to go and do my master's out of the country for 2 years, he took care of the children. And at that time, my mother was bedridden and sick. and he took care of my mother and the children for me to be away for the 2 years and come back.
Wow. How old were the children then, if you remember?
They were 2 and 4.
Oh, they were very young.
They were very young when I left.
You did very well.
Yes, it was tough. I remember sometimes over there in the US, I would see children and start crying because I miss my children. But and at that time we didn't have social media like this, so it was you call and they have to call him from a house to go to another place and come and listen to the call and everything. But yes, and then I've had help all along, house helps all along. Initially when we had our first children, we had to move in and go and live with my mother because my mother was old and accommodation was a big issue in Kumasi at that time. And she had a place that we could go and use freely. And I just thank my husband, an Ashanti man who agreed to go and live in the same house with his in-law was another story altogether. By God's grace, we moved in there. But when we moved, so my mother was there to help me with my children. Then my mother got stroke. And she was bedridden for 12 years before the Lord called her home. So we definitely needed help. My cousin came to live with us to help take care of my mother, but we also had house help. And with the house help issue, the initial ones were a disaster. The person would either steal your things and run away, or she would do things that you don't want and things like that. So one day I came from work and my house help had gone away.
Oh.
And
gone away?
Like, yeah, she had just left because the neighbors around called her and said, "Hey, why are you sitting here in somebody's house and she's taking her children to school?" Oh. So they managed to convince her to leave. So she left. So that day I was really frustrated. So I took a chair and put it in front of my bed. And I sat on the bed and I said, "Jesus, come and sit down. You and I need to have a conversation." That is my relationship with God. I believe that He's the human being that I can talk to. And especially with the Holy Spirit, as with the Holy Spirit, I just tell him that you are the comforter and the help that Jesus said He was leaving for us. So as for him, it's like, please, I'm here. Let's talk.
That's all.
So I put the chair there and I said, "God, right now, I have to go to work. I don't have any help. I need you to come into the situation. So I want a house help. I don't want a thief. I don't want a witch. I don't want this. I don't want that." I listed all the things I didn't want. And then I said, and even if the person is not a Christian, when the person joins us, let the person come to know your saving knowledge and become a Christian. So I left it that. And I said, "I'm not going to look for anybody. You go and bring somebody to me." And God did exactly that.
Wow.
And I had my first house help who was such a help to us. And she stayed with us for 7 years.
7 years. Good.
She took care of the children. She was like a big sister to them. And one of the things we taught our children too was that under no circumstance should you look down upon anybody we call into the house as a help. Because we don't choose our families. It's God-given. So that person who is a house help in our home, if the tables had been turned and she had been given birth to by us, maybe she would have been even more intelligent than our children.
Exactly.
She would have gone further, given those opportunities. So through no fault of hers, if she was born into a home that has to release her for her to go and be a help in another house, why should you discriminate against her? So all our house helps have been like sisters to our children. Okay. So I remember when I had to go on duty, listening to Malawi for 3 years. I took one house help with me. My staff didn't know that she was my house help till she told them herself.
They thought she was your daughter?
Yeah, I told them that she was my sister's daughter. She was a family member, my sister's daughter, and that's how we all treated her. And so we've had that. So all those helps have come my way, and so I delegate a lot. So the kind of job that I was doing, I was traveling a lot. I was out of home a lot. So I would delegate to the children. But anytime I'm at home, I'm in charge. I make sure that all the duties that have to be done by me are accomplished by me, and I teach the children too. And because of that relationship between my house help and my children, they were also able to teach my children some of the things that they needed to learn. So that is something that really helped us. And then, like I told you, I sit down and plan my day and my weeks. If I don't plan, I'm a disaster. So I have to plan, because there are so many things that need to be done. And I don't like going into something unprepared. So if I plan and try to prepare ahead of time, and by God's grace, God has given me this sense of presence that immediately something comes up, I'm able to see that, okay, this needs to be done about it. So I take advantage of that gift too and work along with it.
So it means that it's possible for you to climb the ladder, corporate ladder, whatever ladder, and still have a solid family.
Yes.
And still parent your children alongside.
Yes.
Depending on how you're able to keep the balance.
Yes.
And how you're able to delegate and the kind of help you get along the way. But for sure, you cannot do it alone.
You cannot do it alone. And I think another thing too is you have to be very careful about the kind of friends your children make. Okay. Know about them, get to know their parents and the families, the parenting style in those homes. We choose our friends. If for any reason you are not comfortable with the friends of your children, teach your children to move away from that friendship. And another thing is, in our home, we don't apologize for doing the right thing. You know, you go to certain homes, and because the person is a visitor, everybody wants to please the visitor. So they can come in and do whatever and then leave excuse my language, the rubbish behind for you to clean. No. In our home, you don't ever refuse food. You know, some people are very petty. You cook for them and then the man will come to the house and say, what kind of food is this? I won't eat it. It's one of the rules in our home. Okay. And the children too, no matter how angry you get, no matter how upset you are, ask for your food. Even if you are crying, eat your food. That's all. So when their friends come and visit, they tell their friends. Another rule is you don't eat in your room. There is a dining area, and that is where you sit and eat, because the tendency for you to create cockroaches and rodents in the room when you eat in your room is very high. I can't clean and then come and clean that one too in addition. So you don't eat. So those rules, they learn it and then they teach their friends who come to the homes. So we don't apologize for the good things that we are doing. We are protective of it and we carry on with it.
Fantastic. We are protective of it and we carry on with it. So it's possible it can work.
Oh, it can work.
And still have a family. And the households, they are all not evil.
No. I just thank all the households who have supported us. One stayed with us for 7 years, another stayed with us for 9 years. The other one, she's not staying with us now, but she comes and goes whenever she wants. So we have that relationship. It has been wonderful. They have been very, very supportive. Without them, I don't think our family would have been able to go on the way we did. And right now, I have a gentleman as my house help. And that one too is fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Yes, very, very helpful in the house.
That's great. That's great. So you need help.
Yes, we need
Not
help.
everybody is a witch.
No. No.
Not all households are witches.
No.
You just have to pray and be led.
Yes.
And I like one thing you said, that when you're at home too, you take charge.
Yes.
Some of us, when we are at home too, we want the household to do everything.
No.
Including what they should not also do.
No.
They create problem for us and our marriage.
For instance, until my retirement, house helps don't clean my bathroom.
Okay.
But as for my bedroom, even up till now, I have to clean my bedroom myself.
So,
My husband's intimate things, nobody washes them apart from myself or my children or he himself. No house help. That's the rule. When you come in as a house help, I tell you, if ever we give you things to wash and you see any intimate apparel of mine or my husband's in it, it's a mistake. Put it aside and then we will take care of it ourselves.
So rules are important.
Very, very important.
Principles are important.
You have to know, you see, as the mother, you are in charge of the home. If you look at the woman in Proverbs chapter 31, why is she praised so much? She was in charge of her house and made sure that things were done in the right orderly manner. At the same time, she had fun for herself too. Enjoyed her husband, enjoyed her children. Her children rose up to call her blessed. Yeah. Why? Yeah. Because she was a good woman.
Exactly.
And it is possible. So it is up to us. And the way I go about it will be totally different from you. Do what is comfortable for you and your children and your husband and work along with it. So communication is also very, very important between the parents and then between the parents and the children. The children should feel free to be able to talk to the parents about any and everything. My husband always gives this example. He says that, especially with the men, some men are so serious in life, for want of a better word, that when they come home, everybody is on tenterhooks, like, hey, daddy has come. When he's coming and he blows the horn, the mother is, hey, put this aside.
Put the TV off.
Just all those things. Are you an armed robber? You are, for God's sake, I mean, you are a father coming home. Your children should be happy running to meet you. You are not an armed robber, so let the children feel free with you. When that communication, that relationship is there, the children will always come. Wherever they roam, they will come back home. And you will enjoy your parenting and your happy home too.
Good. Fantastic. You're having a wonderful time. This is my parenting journey. Very soon I shall be running to an end. I hope you are enjoying it. You are picking some lessons. I am picking mine. Okay, Mommy Abigail. So how do you make time for fun as a family? How do you bond? Is it all about work, travel? How do you make time? Is it fun at all?
Yes, we enjoy laughing.
How?
In the house. So we make jokes.
Okay.
We tell stories. I remember when we were far away in Malawi and I was with the children, some of the children, we created what we called FFTL, Family, Fun, and Learning Time. Okay. So every weekend, it could be, and we were flexible about it, depending on availability of time. It could be Saturday, it could be Sunday. But we spent at least 1 hour where everybody was encouraged to come up with something innovative. So those who wanted to write a poem would write a poem and then they would read it out. We will all listen to it. Those who wanted to sing, those who wanted to dance. And one of the things that really bonded me with my children is I love dancing. Yes, I really love dancing. Not that I know how to dance, but I love dancing. That's the most important thing. So when they come from school, I'm asking them, what's the new dance? And so they are teaching me and I'm trying to bend and it's difficult and they are laughing. We have fun about such things. And then we also took advantage of anything that would bring our morale down to make something good out of it. For instance, anytime there was light out in my children's life, they know that that is the time we learn songs. I taught them a lot of the songs in the church, hymns. I grew up in a Methodist background because my father was Methodist, so I went to Methodist schools all along, and so I taught them hymns and everything. So most of the songs that were taught by in our house, we learned them during light out time, because what are you doing? You are sitting there and then moping and no. And then we also enjoyed watching certain films together. Very educative films, and films that will take your mind off, like The Sound of Music, Coming to America, and all those things. I remember sitting down, Parents Trap, sitting down with the children and watching with them whenever we had time and things like that. So those were the things that in the time when I was growing up, TV was not on. And when we had TV too, I mean, it wasn't, no, we didn't have one. So it was when I got married and we started with the black and white, and then later on it came to, so those things, so I've never been a TV person sitting behind the TV for a long time. So I had to do other things to make myself happy. So the reading, the singing, the dancing, telling stories, and finding out more about each other, those were the fun things that we were having. And then sometimes we allowed the children to go out with friends if we knew where they were going. We also have rules in our homes where you know that when you are going out, you tell us when you will come back. And then when we agree on the time, you tell us what we should do to you when you break it.
Okay.
So if you should break it, when you come, you yourself, you bring your punishment along with you, because you know that we agreed on that one. And we will faithfully execute it. Yes.
So has it happened like that before?
Oh, yes.
A couple of times. Wow.
And they learned their lessons, so it didn't happen again.
So there was a boundary.
Exactly.
Good. I like what you said about having the fun time. I realized that it wasn't expensive.
No. And sometimes too, we would have picnics.
Picnics, but like the singing, the dancing.
Picnics, like go to some place. You see, it's not expensive. Here in Accra, you can just get a few things together. Go to Ifwa Sutherland Park or something, sit with your children.
And have fun.
Have fun.
The fact that you're in the house alone makes them
fun. You see, there's so many things you can do and teach them to. I have a friend who is a grandfather now. He's in Kumasi. He comes to pick his grandchildren and takes them around the important places like Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum and things like that. There are people sitting in Accra who don't know the place, but he will come take them. He takes them and he puts them in trotro. He said, "I want them to have the experience."
I hope his children or his daughter agrees with that.
Oh yes, his son is a doctor, a medical doctor.
Okay.
And they agree. He goes along with them, takes them around. Let them be children. Exactly. Let them enjoy themselves, and all those things are very, very helpful.
So it's not every time that they have to sit in the car to school and they are picked from school. Sometimes
right now, my grandchildren are in Kumasi with my brother-in-law and his wife. They are on holiday, so they pack them all. They are there enjoying themselves. We call them, they are having fun. New environment, new experience. They come back and they speak the tree more there. Exactly. The grandchildren, it took some time for them to learn the tree, but when they go there, they speak it. By the time they come back, they are very good.
So parents, it's all time. It mustn't be so expensive.
No.
You have to travel to the Bahamas. No. Here in Ghana, you can intentionally have fun.
Oh, yes.
Have fun. Dancing, it doesn't cost anything. She said she's just a lover of dancing. Not that she's good at it.
No, not that. You don't have to be good at it.
They'll laugh at you.
Oh, and when they are laughing at you, it's fun.
It's fun. They'll keep that.
And listen to music. Listen to things that empower you, things that help you to develop. You can get some of them to even read stories to you. Those things are very, very helpful. Yes.
Great. So, Mommy, from hindsight, what are your regrets as a parent? What do you wish you would have done better given the opportunity?
Yes, one thing. I wish I had a job that made me stay at home more than I did. Because my job was such that, I mean, if you have gone around five continents, then you can just imagine where I have been. I remember there was one day that I was on my way to town to buy a few things. It was a Friday afternoon, I closed from work. When my boss called, I was then doing an international job. My boss called from the US and said, Abigail, you have to be in a meeting in Kenya on Monday.
Wow.
I mean, it was like that. So most of the time I was either in the air or on the road. But I thank God that he made it possible for us to do what we have been able to do. But upon hindsight, if I had been more at home, if there was remote work than there is right now, I'm sure that is what I would have opted for in my work. So that is one regret that I had. And I encourage mothers especially, be around for the children. And one thing that helped me too was the fact that it didn't matter how much it cost to make calls. I had to be in touch with the family, with my children and with my husband. So that was one way in which I kept in touch with them. We prayed over the phone. We would fix praying times, and then looking at whatever time I have over there and whatever time, never mind the time difference, we would still commit ourselves to prayer and things like that. So the communication is one thing that really helped us. And I know that if I had been more at home, I would have had it better than I did.
But congratulations, you've even done far better than some who stay at home with them. You know, sometimes there's a difference between staying at home and being engaged.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because some can stay at home and still not be engaged with the children. So you have done it, and congratulations.
We thank God.
We are proud of you. We are learning a lot from you.
We thank God.
So your last word, what would you tell children of today, parents of today, in this our contemporary times where our contemporary times where our attention is being taken over by smartphones and all that? Our children are on smartphones, parents are on smartphones. What do you tell us as a mother, your last word?
First of all, I think that it's very important that you acknowledge God as the keeper of the home. When that one is settled, then we can move on from there. Bring up the children in the Lord. And that means praying with them, reading the Bible to them, and teaching them to read the Bible. Teach your children to own God as their father. God doesn't have grandchildren. We are all his children. So those children too are his children. When that relationship is built, it's half of the work done. And then set values. Every home should have values. And every home should also have a development plan. When you get married, what do you want to see your home be like in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, by the time you get to retirement? As your children are growing up, what do you anticipate seeing? And when you set the values, as the parent, walk the talk. Don't just set the values and do something else. If you say that there should be no insulting words in the home, don't insult other people to the hearing of your children. Okay. Set the rules and go by them. Be their best mentor. in the world. Parents, if you have somebody who is your mentor and they start scratching their heads and they're now looking for somebody, another hero somewhere, I'm like, parenting had a problem in such a home. The best mentor every child, I believe personally, should be the parents. They should learn something good from you. And then make your home a haven, a place where they know they can come to at any time. Sit around the dining table or the eating area and enjoy yourselves. And one thing too is, please, parents, I know that a lot of people are affluent these days, more affluent than in the past. And we like buying things for our children and things like that. It's great. Decide on which age when your children should start using the phone. And even when they start using the phone, you should be controlling it. Don't go and buy sophisticated phones for them where you will be here in Ghana with them, but they will be in South Korea. And you wouldn't know. So sometimes you are at home with them. Oh, as for my children, they don't go anywhere. But you do know what is happening to them on the phone. It's the parental guide is very, very important. And then celebrate events in the home, birthdays, graduation. Be there for your children whenever they need you. And with the one about the phones, we also believe that the main television in the house should be one. We don't keep televisions in the rooms of our children. So whatever it is, we all come. This is the area, common area that we can sit together and watch things together. So we encourage that. You may be of a different view, but whatever it is, if you are keeping tellies in the rooms for your children, make sure that you are in control. Parental guide is on it, and they are not watching pornography and evil things that will destroy their lives. But then they are doing things that will be helpful for them. And then teach your children that God first, family second. And therefore, they should come together. And to the glory of God, with the help of God, I believe that will help all of us.
Wow. What shall I say? What shall we say? It's really been one of the most insightful sessions that we have ever had. I have learned a lot. Indeed, parenting is a journey. And others have been on that journey. They've made it. They have excelled. What can you do? One of the easiest thing and the best thing to do in life is to learn from people who have been on the same journey that you are on. In that case, you learn from their mistakes and learn from their successes as well. It's great having you on this show. We want to say thank you. See you again at another time. This is Gifty Ajimai on my parenting journey. Thank you.
I would say that parenting is not an event. Sometimes people say spend quality time or quantity time. Parenting is a process, and you always have to be there. You have to make time, and you also have to be there all the time, because sometimes our children need somebody to talk to, they need somebody to encourage them, they're having a challenging time. You need to be there. Remember, we are stewards. God made us stewards. And I always say we are bringing up somebody's wife, we are bringing up somebody's husband, we are also bringing us a responsible adult for the nation. So you are bringing up a CEO, you are bringing up a politician, an organizational head. Have all that in mind, and together with your husband, bring the children up so that one day somebody will bless you as having done a very good job. And one day God will tell you, good and faithful servant, you took very good care of my property, what I entrusted in your hands. Bear that in mind so that nobody will curse you one day and say that, look at this job you did, it's not good at all. And pray you need to pray. Like everything depends on prayer. Rise up at dawn, mommy, and pray for your children. I wake up 2 a.m. I am always laying hands on my children and speaking forth what I want to see happen to them. I do that every time. Sometimes they see, sometimes they don't see. If your husband is not doing it, it's okay, mother, do it. And one day, you will thank God for what you did. God bless us all. Amen.